that okay? Can you all hear me? All right, good. So I am absolutely thrilled to be here with you all tonight, and thank you so much for coming out here on Christmas Eve. Um, I want us to focus tonight on our own internal light. And for those of you at home, if you have a candle or a light, maybe now would be a good time to get it. That'll come later. So before we get started, though, I want to say something about azalea. So some of you may have heard of smudging, yes? So I am of the Lakota tradition, and we don't smudge. We azalea, because to smudge is to put something on you. You're going to put something on you. Smudging lifts off any of that sort of negative energy. But more importantly, azalea is a moment for us all to come together. It's sort of a commitment to be right here, right now with each other, right? We make a commitment to leave all of that stuff outside. And Reverend Ken talks about leaving your wouldas, your shouldas, your couldas outside. It's kind of the same thing, right? So if we were outside, we would actually be sharing some smoke of white sage or Dakota sage, not white sage, sorry, Dakota sage. But given that we're inside and we don't want to like set off smoke alarms and things, we're just going to take the intention of doing azalea. And I'll ask you all just to leave all your worries, all your cares outside and just come and really be present right here with me and with each other for the next however long this takes us. So I know all of you have heard the Christmas story, the traditional Christmas story, many, many times. And some of you are familiar with the symbology that shows up in the Christmas story. But today, I'd like for us to focus on the season itself, a season of light. And particularly this aspect that's reflected in our own internal light that we all carry with us all the time. So, in the indigenous way of thinking, winter is a time when darkness looms large and encroaches on our daily activities. It encourages us toward maybe certain foods and certain activities, even here in the Sunshine State, right? Just a few minutes ago, we were talking about it's cold, right? The days are shorter, and we have a tendency toward, again, certain behaviors that support that. We might bundle up a bit. We might find ourselves inside more. And also, the daylight itself takes on a different quality. Have you noticed that it's softer, gentler than it is in the heat of summer? So we readily notice the physical aspects associated with winter. However, indigenous people also associate qualities of the time of year. You all, I imagine, are aware that we just went through solstice just a few days ago. Are you aware in the indigenous way of thinking, we're still in that solstice window? The thinking is that things pause for about 72, 74 hours. There's this pause before we move back. We just went through our longest night. And again, we pause until we start to move forward toward that time where the daylight comes on. So again, practices of indigenous people are deeply rooted in connection to Unchi-Maka, Mother Earth, and the natural world. So being in touch with the natural cycles leads to this awareness, again, that some activities are better suited to particular times of the year. And winter is seen as a time to take stock, to stop and reflect and think about what has worked for us and what hasn't worked for us. Again, we want to think about those things that we may want to shed. And I know here there's usually a ceremony around New Year's weekend, New Year's Eve, New Year's weekend, where again, we let go of those things that aren't working for us and bring in the good. And again, we have something called going to the water, very similar ceremony. So winter again is seen as a time to prepare prepare for the growth that's coming. It was a deeply, profoundly spiritual time of turning inward. And again, I believe that that arose in part from the recognition of the challenges that people might face in the deep of winter when darkness reigns. So I want you to imagine just for a moment, even though we're here in Florida, can you imagine if you were sleeping outside tonight? Probably not. So imagine again, if you're from the Lakota, the Lakota people are in South Dakota, right? South Dakota, North Dakota, in that area. Can you imagine maybe being concerned? Do you have enough food to last through the winter? How cold will it be? And so again, they understood that this was a time when the dark was very much a part of their lives, and the night outlasted the light of day. So it was a particularly important time to really shore up their spiritual lives. It was a time to cultivate their connection to Creator, to Tunkashila. And so winter is a time of introspection and deep reflection, a time of renewal and rest. And so I want to encourage each of you to really take some time and think about that. You know, in these past few weeks, sometimes we get so busy running around and caught up in all the festivities, which is wonderful, but making sure that we're taking time to stop and think about what the season is about. Take time to reflect and consider to engage in introspection and to make sure you have time to rest and take care of yourself. In doing so, you're feeding your own light, your own divine essence, so that you can share it with others, which is something we're going to kind of focus on tonight. By aligning our own natural rhythms with that of the earth, we are encouraged to release negativity and open our hearts. And given the darkness in the world today, it's more important than ever to let the flame of our divine internal light guide us and let it reach others. My prayer every day is that every person I come in contact with is touched by their own connection to Creator. So tonight, I'd like to invite each of you to come up and to create a physical reminder of your own internal light. And I invite you to do this in community because it's so much stronger when we do anything in community. Our collective light will burn brighter than all of these individual lights themselves. So the tricky part of this is that I'm going to ask you to do this candle lighting ceremony in a very conscious way. This isn't about just coming up and lighting a candle and going back to your seat. I'll ask you to hold each other, to send your love and light to the people who are coming up here as they light their own candle. And then as you light your candle, just imagine your light radiating out to them. In our practice, we have a deep belief in this impact of a ripple effect. These things that we do go out on and on and on and on and on. And I genuinely believe what we're doing ripples out into the world and makes a difference. So I hope that you all will join me in that tonight. So let me just kind of go through the logistics of this for a minute, and then we'll move back into this more sacred space. So again, I'll ask you to come up and light your candle, and you can do one of two things. You can either get one of these smaller candles and light it off the taper and then stick it in the sand, or you can also take one of these and light one of the votives around the bigger candle. Either way is fine, and I'll let you choose as you come up. And again, we'll kind of just come up one section at a time and, light your candle and then go back to your seat. And again, please really do your best to stay focused, stay in your hearts, And with your heart, just letting your light shine up here to support the person as they light their candle. And also then allowing you, as you light your candle, just imagine that light radiating out to everyone. Okay, is that part clear? That's a hard part. Yeah? Um, we are so used to these days being distracted by so many things and not paying attention to things for more than a few minutes. Sometimes we've lost our ability to stay really focused. So do your best. And also, before I go any further, I just want to recognize Kat, who will be just kind of holding us with some beautiful music tonight. And so she'll be in the background. So don't forget to send some of your love and light over to that corner and then over to David there as well, who's supporting us quietly over there in the shadow. We can still see him though, right? All right. So any questions about the lighting part? All right. I feel one. No? All right. So before we do this, though, I'm going to ask all of you just take a deep breath and breathe way down here in your belly, right? Imagine a light coming down, pouring over you, spilling in and over you. Imagine that light almost like batter made of compassion, love, peace, and kindness. Imagine that warm, soft light is soaking into you and mixing with your own internal flame. You might want to put your hand there on your heart and imagine like a little candlelight, just a flame flickering in there. And imagine as we take another deep breath, imagine that light spilling over you and soaking into you and touching that internal flame there beneath your hand and your heart. And as that light of the universe mixes with your internal light, see it glowing brighter and brighter. And then imagine that light radiating out from you toward the people as they light their candles. And try to hold that image as each person lights their candle. Yeah? So I'm going to invite you all to come up. And again, we'll just start on this side. We'll come up one section at a time and light your candles. Again, being mindful to stay in the space that you're in right now as you're breathing and feeding the flame in your heart and letting that also radiate out to the people as they light their candles. In the Native tradition, we look for messages everywhere. We think almost everything has meaning to it, right? Um, and so beautiful lessons for each of us as we come up, right? Beautiful, you all come up, and I just see shining light coming from you, your eyes all bright. Some of you, your candle goes out, and what do we learn from that? That light is always with you. It never actually goes out, right? Put it right back on. Just need to give it our attention and focus. Kat's going to lead us in Silent Night. And please, please feel free to join in. Megan, would you please turn those lights off if we can?
Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, around a young virgin, mother and child, holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace. Silent night, holy night, shepherds quake at the sight, glory stream from heaven afar, heavenly hosts sing hallelujah, Christ the Savior is born, Christ the Savior is born. Silent night, holy night, Son of God, love's pure light, radiant beams from thy holy face, with the dawn of redeeming grace. Jesus, Lord, at thy birth, Jesus, Lord, at thy birth. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round a young virgin, mother and child, holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace.
I feel compelled to tell you, for what it's worth, you do whatever you want with this, including completely ignore it. Um, in Lakota, we have a word. It's Daku Washkanshkan, and it means sacred motion, all things in sacred motion. And our elder recently, literally just 2 days ago, shared that according to him, there's some Aramaic translation of the word Christ that's the same as Daku Washkanshkan, that it's not like this last name of someone, but this um, concept of that Christ consciousness in motion, spreading out, for whatever that's worth to you. I'm going to use the word here in a minute, chanupa. Chanupa is the sacred pipe. You may have heard it called a peace pipe. That's actually not a thing, just so you know. Um, um, the chanupa, the pipe, is a very sacred ceremony for us, and it makes a contract sometimes between people, between Creator. It's a way that we send our prayers sometimes to Creator. And so, again, just keep that in mind as I want to close by reminding you all that you all bask in the glow of your light. I want to invite you to truly embrace your own inner light. You have a chanupa within you. That is your direct connection to Creator, whatever that is for you. To remember, always remember, you carry that with you, within you, all the time. You're never separated from it. That's a complete illusion. It is in you always. You carry it with you at all times, this divine light. Nurture your light. Share your light. Find your center. Become drenched with that divine light, renewed, refreshed, replenished. And in doing so, we build a reservoir of love and compassion. Know that you are the light and the love and Takashala, Creator, and that this light is powerful beyond measure. Your light is needed now. Allow your connection with your own light to radiate out. Be the light in the dark for others, for our world. Oho metakwe aisen.
I hope you'll help me with this one. It's called Let There Be Peace on Earth. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as our Father, brothers are we. Let me walk with my brother in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow, to take each moment and live each moment with peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, to take each moment and live each moment